Yes, yes. Yeah, in order. We got operations, Chief Hess, Chief Jacobson, Sherry, Kelly, and Vike. Nope, over here. Thank you.
I'm just going to leave this here.
Absolutely. Wherever you want it. You want it right there? 1 minute, everybody. Okay, welcome everybody to the press conference for the SCU Lightning Complex incident. My name is Rich Brocchini. I'm an information officer for Incident Management Team 6. Today is August 25th at 3 p.m. Ask if you can please silence your cell phones and take any sidebar conversations outside as we continue the press conference. I want to remind everybody that this incident includes 7 different counties. Those counties include Santa Clara, Alameda, Contra Costa, San Joaquin, Stanislaus, Merced, and San Benito. Just for a quick update on our incident right now. The incident is currently at 363,000 acres in size, 15% containment, with over 1,300 firefighters fighting this fight. We continue to have 20,000 structures that remain in threat at this time, and the SCU Lightning Complex remains between the second and the third largest fire in California history. Let's get started today with an operational brief from our section chief, Tim Ernst.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tim Ernst, Operations Section Chief for Team 6. As we talked about yesterday, there's a lot of busyness on the map, and I want to really quickly review some of the things we talked about yesterday. Remembering that we came in 10 days ago now to about 18 to 20 different fires, you can still see on the map identifiers where all those individual fires were. All of these separate fires have been contained and no longer pose any threat to you. Several of those fires have burned together, as we talked about. We had split that into 2 separate zones. Those 2 separate zones have now joined together into one fire. So this is all now being handled as one large fire. A lot of good work has happened in the last 24 hours. And we talked yesterday about the difference between looking at red line on a map and looking at black line. Black line being area of the fire perimeter that has been contained, where we no longer see a threat of forward movement of the fire. You'll see we have black line all the way up this east side of the fire and around the north top of this one piece of the fire. That is great news and really provides a lot more safety for that whole area. We're continuing to work to increase that black line around the fire. We also talked about the presence of dozer line. We use dozer line to slow the spread of the fire. As you can see here on the whole western flank of the fire, we've now put dozer line along the active edge of the fire and down a number of the ridges that we plan to use to hold it as contingency lines. This entire west flank remains the #1 priority of this incident because of the increased threat of public safety along a lot of these populated communities and a lot of the infrastructure risks as we move further down to the south. We currently have only about 3 or 4 areas that we still have a lot of fire activity. And other than that, this fire is actually, a lot of good work has happened and a lot of good things to slowly start to contain it. The areas that we still are seeing a lot of activity is the very top of the fire here in what we call Division Quebec. We have firefighters working there now with firefighting aircraft. As we move on down the line, we have a lot of fire activity still happening down here in what we call Division November. We currently have tankers dropping retardant on that areas, and you may have seen the 747 and the DC-10, which are currently on the fire now as we speak, helping to strengthen a lot of these contingency lines that we're putting in place to again help flank that fire away from any of those areas of risk. That concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Jake Hess, and I'm the Agency Administrator for the SCU Lightning Complex and the CAL FIRE Unit Chief assigned here in the Santa Clara Unit. First off, I want to start off with a huge thank you for all of our cooperating agencies. As you see standing next to me, we have a lot of different patches. We have different law and fire departments, fire agencies who have been engaged on this incident since the, day one. The cooperation associated with all of these folks is absolutely instrumental for the success of this incident. I also want to take a moment and chat about the private landowners and encourage all of those folks to continue coming to our cooperator meetings. Their natural resources are incredibly important to us, and their needs are incredibly important to us. Their problems are our problems, and we would love to have them here so we can engage with them and make sure their needs are being met. The number one priority, and we've said this from day one, is life safety. That's public and firefighter life safety. We've been messaging out to our troops that trading a firefighter's life for a piece of brush or a tree, grass, is an unacceptable situation. So, let's talk a little bit about the evacuation process. The evacuation orders are in for 7 counties, essentially. We are being mindful of the impacts those are to the civilians. We will keep those orders and warnings in place no longer than we absolutely have to. We understand that it's an inconvenience, and we do have our liaison officers that are engaged with our local LE and fire agencies, ensuring those folks who have special needs, ranch owners, targets of opportunity for us to meet with them, whether it's getting feed, water in for their livestock. That is incredibly important to us. Please continue coming to our cooperator meetings. Also want to chat about state parks. We have California State Parks representatives that have been embedded with us here with CAL FIRE Team 6 and myself as the agency administrator regarding Coe State Park. Those folks are here. They have a voice at the table. They have decisions that they've been making at the table. We are engaged with them daily, and we do have troops and mechanized equipment on their in and on the park and actively putting in fire line to stop this fire. I wanted to close with, we are at the point now, day 10 or 11 of this incident, where we're starting to collaborate with CAL FIRE Team 6, our cooperators, with short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals associated with this incident. We're having to staff up and have that marathon long view that we're going to be here for a long time. Some of those long-term goals that we're going to be targeting, we are having to staff up and have those conversations right now so we can get out ahead of this. A lot of that has to do with private landowners, fire suppression repair, Henry Coe Park, in those private and public landowners. With that, we are setting up and upstaffing appropriately, and I really appreciate everybody's coordination, and I cannot thank all of the individual agencies, private, public agencies that have been here. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Curtis Jacobson. I'm up here wearing 2 hats today. First one will be as the Fremont Fire Chief, and the second one will be the President of the Alameda County Fire Chiefs Association. On behalf of the Mayor, the Council, City Manager's Office, the men and women of Fremont Fire Department, Fremont Police Department, and most importantly, the citizens of Fremont, we want to thank all of our partners in our local jurisdictions as well as CAL FIRE, offer them our sincere thanks and gratitude for the appreciation of their efforts in keeping this thing out of Fremont. We've been part of this since last Sunday, and again, the most overused word in 2020, unprecedented. Unprecedented storms, unprecedented fuels, unprecedented fire loads. Our mutual aid partners, local and through CAL FIRE, again, kept this out of Fremont city limits, and for that we are deeply appreciative. To our citizens, we ask that you remain diligent and prepared. Be prepared by signing up for readyforwildfire.org. Sign up for the CAL FIRE updates. We ask that you be patient. Again, as Chief has said, we will roll back the orders and the warnings as soon as we know that it's safe for you guys to repopulate. Be patient with us. Seek verified information. If you're not a social media person like I am, do all of those sign-ups. Listen to verified information through the media outlets or listen to the radio. And like Chief Hess said, again, it's a marathon, not a sprint, but we're making great progress, and we couldn't do it alone. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Captain Chris Sherry, the commander of the California Highway Patrol in the Dublin area. The California Highway Patrol's mission is to provide the highest level of safety, service, and security to the people. We have CHP officers assigned to various traffic control points in Alameda County and Santa Clara County. These officers are on extended shifts, and they're there to provide safety to the public. We're very sympathetic to the impact that these traffic control points have on residents, ranchers, businesses, and I assure you, a lot of discussion and thought goes into where these traffic control points are at and how long they'll be in place, and when it's safe to do so, we will relax on our restrictions. That's the end of my report.
Good afternoon. I'm Sgt Ray Kelly. There's quite a bit of smoke in the air, but the optimism in the air feels a little bit better today in Alameda County, and we're thankful to all the efforts of our fire teams working on this. We maintain a pretty vigilant footprint up in our eastern part of our county, working with those ranchers up there in those remote areas. We've brought in a tremendous amount of resources. A lot of the livestock and the animals up there have been brought here to the fairgrounds for safety. We continue to work on that problem and those issues. I think things feel a little better than they did in the last couple days, so that's very thankful for our residents. Speaking of Alameda County, we know some of our adjacent counties have concerns and are still being greatly impacted. We're going to continue to do what we're doing. I want to be mindful that we're hearing false reports about looting and that type of behavior going on. We have not had any reports of looting. We have not encountered anybody out doing that type of activity. And should someone want to come into our county and engage in that type of activity, it will not be hard for us to figure out who those individuals are. So we're mindful of that, but don't want to add to the fear and concern that there is any looting out there. We do have no reports of that, and there have been no events consistent with any type of looting behavior, and there's no intelligence that anything like that is going on. So I just wanted to clear that up for the community and ask everybody, please, in Alameda County, sign up for acalert.org so that we can directly reach out to you as an opt-in member. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric Swalwell. I represent the congressional district here in eastern Alameda County, which includes Livermore, Pleasanton, and Sunol, areas that are affected by SCU, and I've invited Mayor John Marchand as a guest today. First and foremost, I want my constituents to know that I've been in contact, daily contact with the state's emergency operations director, Mark Garladucci, and have received updates about whether we have yet qualified for the FEMA disaster relief. Our area has not yet. Areas around it have, and as we watch threats to structures and life in the area, he will stay in touch with me about that. There's also fire management grants as well that we may soon be eligible for, but he and I have been speaking about that. I also want to thank the first responders on the ground. This is a hell of a year. You have a pandemic, fire season starting earlier than expected, record temperatures and winds, and I'm so grateful to the firefighters who are on the front lines with fewer resources this year than they've had in years past, but also for local law enforcement who are playing a joint coordinated role with them. It surely does help a lot. So I want to thank Sheriff Ahern, who's running the OES out in Dublin, to make sure that our local law enforcement can support CAL FIRE. So just a thank you to everyone, but also encouraging citizens, as was mentioned before by command staff, to follow the alerts, to have your go bags ready, to look at whether you're in a warning or order posture, and to just assure you that we will get through this. We have the best in the state, and we have other states who have stepped up, and thank you to those states who are coming in to provide us with additional resources. We're not asking you to do any of this because it's easy. We're asking you to do this because it's hard, but we know the resiliency of the people in this area, and we know that we can get through this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So before we have our final speaker, I just want to remind everybody the format. We will do questions and answer after the final speaker, and then additionally, we're going to do the press conference in Spanish. Okay, our next speaker is going to be our Incident Commander, Chief Jeff Ike.
Thank you, Rich, and good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank all of my colleagues on both sides of me. Excellent provided information, and it's greatly appreciated, not on behalf of CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 6, but on behalf of all the public and the great people of the state that we serve. Thank you for a very informative press conference. So I think my colleagues have covered it very well. As you all know, if you look at the map up to my left here, we still remain in the same fight. We're fighting fire in 7 different counties. We're conducting evacuations and simultaneous repopulation in certain areas across 7 counties. As a firefighter that's been in the business for 27 years, this is the most complex in my career, and not only my career, the career of many. I assure you we stand together and we're going to get through this, but I want to be right up front. And Chief Hess and many of the other speakers have covered it. We are in for the long haul. We'll stand together and we will get through this. I do have a couple of messages I want to get out. Any public agency or private agency, if your needs are not being met or you need information, please come to the Alameda County Fairgrounds at 10 o'clock right here in this room, the farmhouse, and please attend, as Chief Hess stated, please attend our cooperators meeting. Get the information you need, speak and address, bring up your concerns, so as a group and all these agencies that stand up here next to me, we can work through your concerns and challenges and overcome them. The last part of my message is to all the great people in California that we serve that are affected by this incident or in just areas around the fire. If your needs are not being met, please reach out to the agencies that are all up here next to me. Reach out to all the information on readyforwildfire.org, and please reach out to us. Whether you call in to the call center, we have folks 24 hours a day that are ready to take your calls and pass on that information to all these folks that are up here next to me so we can meet your needs. And I just want to re-emphasize, it's our job to meet your needs and keep you safe, and we're committed to doing that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief. At this time, we'll take any questions if there's some out there. Any questions? Yes.
Hi, can you talk about the number of structures affected? I'm sorry. Can you talk about the number of structures affected? And also, I understand a few people have been injured in this fire. Can you talk about that, please?
Yeah, so on SCU Lightning Complex, we've had 5 structures destroyed and 20,000 remain under threat. And in terms of injuries, there's been some civilian injuries and some minor firefighter injuries. Any other questions? Okay, at this point, we're going to go ahead and have our Spanish interpreter come up and conduct the press conference in Espanol.
Buenas tardes y bienvenido a la conferencia de prensa para el incendio SCU Lightning Complex. Soy José Amador, su vocero, y hoy es el 25 de agosto. Por favor, apaguen sus celulares para no interrumpir el programa. Este fuego ha afectado 7 condados, incluyendo Santa Clara, Alameda, Contra Costa, San Joaquín, Stanislaus, Merced y San Benito. Permiso. Actualmente, este incendio también se ha consumido más de 300,060 acres y estamos nomás a 15% bajo control, con 1,300 bomberos luchando contra este incendio. Se han dañado o destruido 18 estructuras y mucho más en peligro. Este incendio se ha vuelto en tercer lugar de los más grandes fuegos en la historia del estado de California. Y se ha consumido más de 1 millón de acres por todos los fuegos quemándose ahorita en el estado de California. Los recursos incluyen más de 14,000 bomberos luchando por todo el estado. Nuestras operaciones aéreas han tirado casi 3 millones de galones de agua y 3 millones de retardante. Se ha activado la Guardia Nacional y también han llegado recursos sobre todo el país, fuera del estado, incluyendo Arizona, Idaho, Nuevo México, Texas, Oregón, Utah, Washington y Montana. Nuestra prioridad es protección del público. Queremos que el público sepa, si vienen las órdenes de evacuación, por favor, obedezcan las órdenes. No esperan, si se tienen que ir, prepárense, llévense su kit de emergencia y tengan un plan de escape. Por más información, más detalles, por favor, visítenos en nuestras redes sociales y muchas gracias por su apoyo y estamos bien agradecidos al público. Si hay algunas preguntas, aquí estoy. Yeah, so we grouped them all together. Any other questions?
Muchas gracias, Joe. Okay, thank you very much for coming. That concludes our press conference. We will have another one tomorrow at 3 p.m. as well. Thank you.